Steve Kelly isn't a typical treasure hunter, but this Irish New Yorker has a passion for the hobby like few others and has found some amazing items.
I always had this interest in finding things. I always walk looking down on the ground. You know, I'm just one of those people I just like finding things. And I went out, I called a guy on Long Island. He went out to his house, he gave me a demonstration, and I bought my first whites detector. Well, what keeps me going is, I mean, you know, when you get into metal detecting, you become addictive. You know, every find is a thrill. And each find is like a gift to you for your effort and for your patience in a hobby. I do this here because to relax. But I mean, when you really think about life, you know, I mean, life's very noisy and time consuming, you know, I mean, you never get really no time for yourself. Now, when I hit a beach, as soon as I'm out at the beach or I go out to a land site, that's my time. And I don't let nothing interfere with that. This is going to be one of the only hobbies that's actually going to pay for itself. I mean, when you get out there and, you know, you start finding them coins and other cool finds, this is going to add up right away to equal the price that you pay for your machine and then just keep going from there. Here's a little show of some of the things. This is just a small portion of what I have. And this is just the gold. This is what makes you crazy. This is what makes you keep coming back. And I mean, of course, you know, it's always cool, but I'm more into like relic hunting, finding artifacts and everything. These were found right in New York City. People say, how could coins, Roman coins, 2,000 years old, get in New York? Because the buildings you see there today weren't there yesterday. There might have been small farms or something. Somebody might have brought them over from Europe when they migrated here. And when they got here, there were no banks or nothing, so that maybe they buried them. There's a little something for everybody in metal detecting. Here's a whole jar, just all silver coins, every type of silver coin. You know, everything you can think of is in here. And this is, again, a small portion. This here site's from about 1770s, 1750s, around there. And supposedly they had British troops that was on this property, or colonial troops that were on this property. So it's potentially a hot site, just takes a little time to get orientated with it, get the machine working right. Well, most targets in an area like this here would be 4 to 5 inches, maybe 6 inches down. Usually what I'm looking for now is buttons. Looking for buttons, they're usually brass. If they're brass or copper, they're going to come up with like a 56, maybe a 46 number. Buttons is a good sign because that identifies the regiment they were with, whose side they were on. A lot of information. See, this here is probably a shallow hit. It's not going to be too deep. But I still have to take up a good portion of the dirt with this plug so that when I put it back, it grows right back in place. Okay. Got here coming up with this stuff is a piece of pottery. Pottery's always a sign. It could have been maybe garbage they buried here. Could have been a dump. Okay, let's try this one. It's a button from a raincoat or rain gear. Actually, I don't see no naming on it. But indication that something was here. Maybe a clothesline, maybe someplace where they dry their equipment. Yeah, something's coming up. Well, this one's take back to the house. Check it out. Put our plug back. Nobody even knows we were here. Now that's good, we got something out of here at least.
When we return, Steve Kelly will share about why New York City is such an amazing place to hunt for treasure. Don't go away.
New York's pretty old. You know, it's been here a long time. And a lot of people did come, and a lot of people left. A lot of the buildings you see now were little villages, or maybe there was just a house where 6 blocks span now. And it's hard to believe, but you can actually go to these locations, and sometimes, not every time, but there are times, I actually went onto sites and found artifacts that is still in my own yard. I live in one of the oldest neighborhoods in New York. I live in Maspeth, Queens. It was settled in 1635. Now, my avenue is Caldwell Avenue. It has a British name. That tells you, these are all hints you get. This is going to tell you it's old. Now, I was in my yard, I was just trying the machine out. I couldn't even believe it. I found colonial buttons. Colonial buttons. Now, I can identify them because I have the literature and the books to look them up. I just read a book, History with Pick and Shovel, which is one of my rare books. Excellent book. It tells about all the local forts from the Revolution that were in New York. These people did an archaeological dig for the New York Historical Society in the 20s. They located these forts, they dug them up, and the book is just full of artifacts that they found. I go to these sites and I actually find stuff from the Revolution. And you're actually on the spot where these people were. These are the founding fathers of America. And these artifacts, I mean, what good are they going to do me sitting in a jar or in a drawer? So I give them to the old stone house. They made a beautiful display with them. The children go there, they tell them about it, and they show them this is how these people lived.
One of the special events that happens for treasure hunters in New York City is when the beaches are replenished not by nature, but by machines.
The sand, of course, through erosion, cuts the beaches down to nothing sometimes. I mean, you get a good nor'easter, it's going to get the beach out. And you can actually see stuff, cables and things that you're laying right on top of, but the sand covers, you don't see it. But that's when you're down to the clay. So now the Army engineers or whoever it is comes out there, and they come with these big ships with these pumps, and they drop one lead into the bottom of the ocean, and they actually suck the sand. And this sand is pumped onto the beach, and then it's spread, the giant hoses, I mean, they're even like a fireman. These are giant hoses. And they have a machine that actually aims it, and they just keep spreading back and forth. And then when they're done, then these graders come in. These are the things they use on the highways to level the ground, and bulldoze, and they spread it out and even it all out. And that's where we got our new beaches in New York. They were pumping sand, but they hit a dump. We were finding 2-cent pieces, 3-cent pieces. We were finding, I mean, all old coins. There were people walking in dogs were finding coins. There were buckles, there were buttons from the municipal police department in New York. That's 1850s. But that was good. That was a good hunt.
Steve Kelly isn't focused on amassing a huge collection of items. In fact, his favorite thing is to give away his artifacts to small museums around the New York City area.
There are a lot of artifacts that we do find. You know, you come across